Rutherford, New Jersey. The East Regional Final. Top-seeded North Carolina takes on second-seeded Cincinnati. The Tar Heels got here with a 6-point win over Arkansas. Cincinnati outlasted Virginia. I think is symbolized contrastingly by Nick Van Exel.
A year ago, 6 times actually, they made 5 straight trips between 59 and 63. Jody Sylvester, Ted Valentine, and Art McDonald are the trio of officials.
Well, you just saw Eric Montross, Corey Blunt, one of the key matchups to watch. Cincinnati has to score early and often so they can get into that harassing pressure. They must rebound the ball well, especially on their defensive board. North Carolina, on the other hand, keep on keeping on. Handle the pressure, get it inside, wear Cincinnati down with your depth and your size.
North Carolina did handle Arkansas, but it was a tussle, and Arkansas presented the same kind of tempo that North Carolina will face in Cincinnati today. Here's Van Exel, and he dishes it too hard. Turnover. Derek Phelps, Lynch, 3-on-1, and Donald Williams has now scored 11 consecutive North Carolina points. He had the last 9 in cinching that 6-point victory over Arkansas Friday night. Gibson, nice pass back to Nelson, but he's not a scorer. Blunt is, but not that time. Montross, Phelps, Reese, short. And Corey Blunt brings it down.
Corey Blunt had a double-double on Friday, 19 points, 11 boards. Really important in their half-court game for Cincinnati to get Blunt and Eric Martin some good touches early.
Van Exel has his first shot rim out. He had a tough shooting night Friday night after hitting his first 2. There's the pass from Phelps. Reese with a shot too strong. In transition, Cincinnati. Off the foot of Eric Martin. Brian Reese will, no, he won't throw.
Probably should have.
Gibson dishes to Martin for 2.
Eric Martin has been fabulous of late. In 3 of his last 5, he's had double-doubles, 19 points a game in the tournament.
Williams. And the baskets aren't falling early for North Carolina. We are tied at 2. Here's Van Exel for 3. He is, as you pointed out the other night, a very streaky shooter.
But he makes big plays when they need him, and if he gets it going, watch out, because he can give it to you in bunches.
Will be North Carolina's ball. Van Exel in the tournament has not shot well.
There you see 10 for 41 from the field, but nonetheless he made 2 big threes in the game-turning run on Friday, and he's capable of those kinds of performances. He's a little streaky because he takes questionable shots on occasion, so it's hard to shoot a good percentage when you're manufacturing difficult shots.
That'll be goaltending called on Corey Blunt.
Take a look at Montross. He's just south of a 1/7 of a ton, but nonetheless, you'll see the Cincinnati Bearcats go right at him and try to double and triple team him inside.
Gibson for the Bearcats, and Cincinnati is out to a 7-4 lead.
Here's the pressure. They like to do it to you along the sideline.
At the other end, here's Van Exel.
Don't do that.
A runner. The tip is good. Terry Nelson gets it.
I don't know if North Carolina has seen as strong an offensive rebounding team as these Bearcats are. They attack the glass with vengeance.
Loose ball, Cincinnati. They'll slow it down.
You and I talked about how we knew Cincinnati would come out on their toes, not on their heels. This is a team that truly believes they can win and should win today.
Baseline, short, no good. 9-4, 16:45. The pace of the game, certainly what Cincinnati would have aspired to.
Exactly.
That ball stripped. North Carolina gets it. First substitution of the game now for Cincinnati. Eric Martin comes back in. Terry Nelson. So it's Van Exel, Martin, Nelson, Bostic is also in the lineup. Curtis Bostic, number 43.
This is where North Carolina has to look to be patient. Cincinnati showing the zone on the baseline out of bounds.
Eric Rodel is in. Number 5. They look inside for Montross. He's being fronted by Blunt. There's the pass and the block, but the foul comes with it.
Carolina doing what they want to do, get into the big fella. Curtis Bostic hopping to it on the denial, but he had to come through Eric's body to block that shot. Montross will get 2 free throws, and he's been outstanding for the last 2 weeks or so from the free throw line.
Those are a couple of fair examples of chiseled granite going at each other.
Oh yeah, nothing extra on Montross's body, nor is there anything extra on Curtis Bostic's body either.
Montross had been on a tear at the free throw line until the other night, and he was 3 of 6, so all of a sudden the problems have hit him. 0 for 2. Rebound, Lynch. Bostic for Cincinnati. They lead it 9-4. Van Exel for 3. Nope. Montross with a rebound. And North Carolina will play up tempo.
Really harassing pressure and quick hands by the Bearcats. Against that kind of pressure, you must be strong with the ball and knock down your mid-range jump shot.
Pat Sullivan off the bench gets 2 on the baseline. But you know what I sense early on, Clark, is a tenacity we didn't feel from Cincinnati the other night.
I think you're exactly right. And part of that, again, was because Cincinnati kind of got off to a little slow start scoring. They like to get into that pressure after they get some hoops. And here in the early going, they've gotten a couple of shots to go down for them.
Like that strong rebound from Curtis Bostic.
They had 24 offensive rebounds the other night, and rebounding on the offensive glass more so than defensively is about quickness and timing, and Cincinnati has that in abundance.
That foul is called on Curtis Bostic. That's his second.
Here you take a look at what Cincinnati does. 2 Bearcats all over the orange on this offensive rebound.
There has never been.
Take a look at Blunt and Montross inside. Try not to watch the ball all the time. Look at the big guys doing damage to each other inside.
Sullivan gets another from the baseline. It's 11-8 Cincinnati. Terrence Gibson, Alan Jackson will not play today. The normal starting guard out with torn cartilage. Probable operation this week, win or lose. That was the word as of the other night. Van Exel chases down the loose ball. Van Exel, Nelson, Martin, Blunt, and Gibson for Cincinnati right now.
Phelps guarding Martin right now.
That's for 3. The lead is 6.
Cincinnati does a nice job in their half-court defense as well. Everybody talks about their pressure, but the foundation of good pressure is good principles in your half-court game.
Quick pass from Phelps to Lynch, who is fouled. Bob Huggins, take a good look at the head of hair. You may not see it next week if Cincinnati wins.
Yeah, they're talking about shaving his dome. If, in fact, the Bearcats win today, I'd have to hang around for that. You know, he was an assistant coach my freshman year when I was at Ohio State. And to see him without any hair would be quite pleasurable.
Payback for all those
all that hollering and
exactly.
suicides and all that stuff.
Bob Huggins now in his 4th year.
Boy, he's done a great job, him and his staff, in getting this team to the level they've played at the last 4 years, really 2 NIT bids and now a possible second trip to the Final Four in succession.
George Lynch will shoot 1 more.
This is a key element for North Carolina, the free throw game. They average about 9 more free throw attempts per game than the opposition, and it's a huge part of their success.
Here's the second of the 3 7-footers that North Carolina can put on the court. Kevin Salvadori comes in. He's a junior from Pittsburgh, number 33. So they've got a couple of trees in there now, Montross and Salvadori.
Well, 2 different looking trees. One is about 275 and the other one would be blown away in a hard wind.
One's a pine and one's an elk. Oak, not an elk. It's that Colorado background coming to the front. One's an aspen. Let's get out of here. Williams, no. Oh, Blunt hit it too hard. Back to Williams. Pump fake and a shot. No. And another rebound for Cincinnati.
Pull up three.
Off the mark. And Reese has it for North Carolina. 14-10. Brian Reese. That was a two-pointer.
By playing this pace, it favors Cincinnati simply because you look at the number of shots both teams have gotten. Carolina really struggling, but it doesn't allow Carolina to take advantage of their size inside. When you go up and down, a lot of open shots present themselves early, and that's what's happened with Carolina. They've settled for the perimeter shot.
Blunt will take it. Another offensive rebound. That's rejected, but it will be Cincinnati's ball. 14-10 with 12:43 to go. Both these teams blew away their first and second round opponents, and both had much more difficulty. Whoops, that's going to be a foul called on Carolina's Derek Phelps.
Yeah, Cincinnati is
for Temple. Those two teams play in Seattle later this afternoon, and what a job John Chaney has done.
Boy, masterful. He's doing it pretty much with maybe 6.5 players. And they lost Vic Karstarkin early in the season, who really is their only senior.
That'll interrupt your thought process.
It certainly will, as it should.
Eric Martin with the foul.
One way you attack the zone is you throw over it, and then you go upstairs and get it. Turn it over. Eric Martin. And then at the other end, nice job by Carolina to attack after the made field goal. And Martin, the guy who flushed it at the other end, hustles back to prevent a hoop and force Reese to get 2 free throws.
Reese, a 68% free throw shooter on the season. His first of the day. Curtis Bostic comes back in now, number 43. And Eric Martin will get a rest for the Cincinnati Bearcats.
I think a couple of things are going to happen for Carolina. Either one of two things has to happen. Either they have to take advantage of their size by dictating tempo a little more, or Dean Smith might have to go smaller to counteract the quickness of Cincinnati. Cincinnati, on the other hand, has to play the same way they've been playing and must avoid foul trouble of their front line people.
Second chance points, a 9-zip edge for Cincinnati. That's the 4th Cincinnati turnover. We play under 12 minutes now. 16-12 Cincinnati. They have led throughout. They have never defeated North Carolina. The teams have played 4 previous times. The last was 13 years ago.
Little half-court trap here.
Loose ball. Alertly tossed out, and here's Van Exel. He's going to have to pull up and bring it back out. Nelson is fouled by Lynch.
Well, good job by Terry Nelson to hold off Lynch and force him to commit that foul in his attempt for the steal.
Second team foul. Time has been called. He has blown away every opponent, as Clark said.
Yeah, they've just drummed everybody. They do it because they're so deep and they knock down the threes. They pressure you defensively. They've got a wonderful one-on-one player in Jamal Mashburn.
Gibson, Van Exel, Blunt, Martin, and Terry Nelson. This is Nelson, number 33.
Zone defense here by Carolina, looking to trap.
Pretty good way to beat it.
Yeah, just shoot right over it. And that could be danger for the Tar Heels if Van Exel can stroke it like he has early.
He has equaled the number of three-point baskets he made the other night already this afternoon. Traveling. 5 North Carolina turnovers. They committed only 3 turnovers in the second half against Arkansas the other night.
Oh, that was certainly the best kind of preparation they could have gotten for what they would see today. And in the first half, Arkansas bothered them. Here in the first half, Cincinnati's pressure bothering North Carolina.
19-12, largest lead of the ball game.
And leave him open.
That's Lizelle Durden, number 23, who's in the lineup now. And at the other end, here's Phelps. 10:30 remaining first half. Cincinnati comes in with a 27-4 mark. North Carolina 31-4. Montross, 4 hands on that play. Williams gets it back. Lynch kicks it out to Reese. Now to Phelps. Finally to Williams. How about this defense? Loose ball. Van Exel cannot control. Over and back.
Well, I tell you what, that's a tough call because Van Exel got a piece of the orange, but you commented on it, Vern. What about the D? They didn't allow anything easy, but let's take a look and see what happens here. Boy, that's a tough call.
Van Exel did have a hand on it.
And nobody really had possession. Certainly a Carolina player did not have control, which you need to have a backcourt violation.
Turnovers thus far, 6-4 North Carolina. Pat Sullivan comes in.
Cincinnati on that last possession did a great job of not allowing wing penetration by Carolina. Reese and Phelps love to penetrate off the wing, and that's one of the things Cincinnati wants to take away. Nick, don't show them everything in the first half.
North Carolina trails 21-12 to a Cincinnati team that has forced thus far 7 turnovers for the Tar Heels. The Bearcats, the number 2 seed, jumped out to a 5-0 edge. They have not trailed. They lead by 9 right now, and Nick Van Exel already has 11, and now the lead is 11.
Beautiful cut by Van Exel, felt the pressure. And there you see Carolina with only 2 hoops in the last 8:15.
Gregor is on for Cincinnati. On the baseline, the ball is stripped and tipped out. It'll be North Carolina to throw it in.
He has shown us his ability to score. Now drop a dime for Eric Martin. And he knows how to finish in tight.
Back it comes to Lynch.
North Carolina has to spot up and shoot the perimeter shot. Not much penetration inside.
Whoa, what a play by Eric Martin. What a dandy play. Van Exel. Gregor. Over the back. Corey Blunt with a foul.
Take a look at the quick hands, but look where his feet are. Excellent position by Martin. That's all orange, folks. Although Martin may have gotten away with the walk there. But I think the official may be distracted by how good that play was.
I don't want to say he walked, but he was halfway to the Lincoln Tunnel.
Yeah, he shuffled a bit, but the reason Cincinnati is able to make so many deflections, people want to say quick hands. Yes, that's half of it, but you've got to get your feet in position so your hands can do what?
Yes. And that, for the moment, restores the calm to Carolina.
Well, one thing about North Carolina is they continue to play. They may look flustered momentarily, but eventually they'll idle down and smooth it out. And they throw so many people at you that they're eventually able to get back into their style of play.
Van Exel, Gregor, Lizelle Durden, and Montross with a wild elbow.
Yeah, the big fella is an easy target at 7 feet. And when you get that chicken wing up into the throat of an opposing player, that's a no-brainer call. Take a look, middle of your screen, 0-0. Gregor trying to set the pick. See, that's a chicken wing that's a little aggressive.
Chicken hawk. Sullivan He is out. Williams back in along with Reese, Lynch, Montross, and Phelps. And for Cincinnati, they've got Van Exel. This is Keith Greger, freshman from Cincinnati. Eric Martin, Terrence Gibson, and Terry Nelson. Nelson with the ball.
Good spacing here by Cincinnati. They'll spread you out and try to beat you off the dribble. Uh-oh. I told you about how streaky he is. He is in the zone right now.
4 3-pointers in the ball game. He is 4 of 7 from three-point range. Almost taken away by Gibson. Now Cincinnati has it. 9 Carolina turnovers. This is a Cincinnati team, excuse me, Clark, that forces 21 turnovers per game.
They're so quick with their hands and feet that you've got to take the medium-range jump shot, Vern. You can't try to shoehorn it inside because they won't give you room. I think Dean Smith is going to have to look at putting some water on Nick Van Exel. The fire is raging wild.
The lead is 15. The elbows are flying. And the call is going to go against Keith Greger. 5 3-point baskets like this. 17 total points. Cincinnati is up by 15. By 15, Dean Smith electing to wait for the television timeout. Some might wonder why he didn't call a timeout earlier.
Well, if you've watched Carolina over the years, Dean Smith archives his timeouts. He saves them until the very end of the game. And typically when a guy gets going, you figure you can ride it out. And when you get into the TV timeout zone, sometimes it's best just to save it.
Yeah, Nick Van Exel will shoot free throws now. There's his dad. Has to be thrilled with what he has seen from his son so far today.
Having played and with my dad still.
Draw a second personal foul. Van Exel. First free throw shot of the day. Pat Sullivan comes back in for the Tar Heels. Brian Reese gets a rest. Phelps, Montross, Sullivan, Lynch, and Williams for Carolina.
Well, this is a very good start for Cincinnati. Remember, in the history of North Carolina basketball, they have some fabulous comebacks. One this year against Florida State when they were down 20 and stormed back to win. So they actually were down 22 in that game. So they're by no means out of this.
No, and I don't think anyone here feels that way. They've now cut the lead to 30 to 18. Here's Greger. There's a turnover. It will be, however, Cincinnati ball. And touched by North Carolina.
Important for Carolina as you look at Bob Huggins to really try to get this down to a manageable margin.
Foul away from the ball on George Lynch. Second, or Greger it is, not Lynch. It was the second on Greger, so it went against Cincinnati.
Well, heck, I'm talking about a manageable margin, Vern. It's really only a 4-possession game right now. I felt like it was a little more than 12 until I looked up at the scoreboard. So Carolina in excellent shape. And again, with the foul situation the way it is, Carolina shoots free throws the rest of the half on common fouls. Even more reason for them to try to throw it inside.
And when you say excellent shape, you mean in the context of a 40-minute ball.
Right, exactly.
Tip back. Here's Gibson. And a turnover for Cincinnati. That is their 6th.
Cincinnati substitution number 32, Mike Harris.
Mike Harris will enter the game now. Junior from Brooklyn for Cincinnati. North Carolina has turned it over 9 times, and Cincinnati has gotten 12 points off those 9.
So quick math tells you that's a 67% conversion rate. You can make a living on that.
Montross. Finally, they whip it underneath the Lynch. What a defensive job by Eric Martin that forced him to alter his shot, but now the ball gets loose. Martin was way up in the air. The lead is 10.
Well, that's a big turnaround, because after that defensive play, Cincinnati had numbers, and the turnover allowed Carolina to get a hoop. You know, North Carolina not a bad half-court trapping team themselves.
Good interior passing. And Harris will shoot free throws.
I think they may have caught that one on the floor.
Did indeed.
Is first and fifth. Carolina substitution number 5, Henrik Rodel. And Cincinnati substitution.
So before the shot, foul was on Williams, his first, and only the 15th foul. So inbounded now by Dick Van Exel. To go first half. Cincinnati has led throughout. Largest margin was 15 just a few moments ago. Nelson, Bostic rather. Here's Van Exel. NBA range. He is beyond the white line.
You've got to mark him and tag him. Otherwise, he's going to hurt you. That'll hurt you, too.
Mike Harris wanted no part of that.
Cincinnati a little confused, lost track of Montross. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you forget where the big fella is.
One of those big buildings across the Hudson. Oh, this is New York.
Numbers.
Back it comes to Gibson. He'll shoot it. Montross will rebound it. And then North Carolina has it
from Coach Huggins right now.
Who will give you an earful.
And he will repeat it. As we read in this morning's New York Times, Coach Huggins learned from a teacher of his long ago that repetition is the key to effective teaching.
4 minutes to go. First half of play. That's 10 Carolina turnovers in the first half.
I think Cincinnati has to keep a double-digit lead at the break to feel confident about how they played. On the other hand, North Carolina would like to get it into single figures.
Traveling. 3 minutes and 38 seconds remaining in the first half. Cincinnati's lead is 11.
Well, I tell you what, Vern, if Michigan has 2 or 3 lapses in that game, it could end their run. They're going to have to play 40 solid minutes of basketball to handle that young and confident Temple squad.
Been kind of hard to get Michigan's attention in this tournament, hasn't it?
Certainly seems to be that way.
Van Exel has been on a tear, 6 of 10 from three-point range. He's on defense right now. The turnovers, 10 so far in the first half. And North Carolina's average only 10 in the tournament. Oh, good job by Montross.
Nice catch and finish. And that's one of the things that really impresses you about Eric Montross. Obviously, his size is what jumps out at you, but he's got pretty good, soft hands.
Eric Martin, nice reverse layup, but too strong, and Van Exel chases it down. Wow. The only thing wrong was the finish. Was that high enough?
No, he didn't do that.
Was that high enough? And Montross got poked in the eye. My goodness, was he up in the air.
How high did Curtis Bostic go to get that rebound? We see the tail end and then a nice feed, and Montross is down prior to that action.
Montross will get a rest. Poked in the eye. 35-24, back to a double-digit lead. Reese has it knocked away, and the putback is good by George Lynch. So Carolina now trailing by 9 with 2:34 to go first half. They have not led in the ball game. Cincinnati jumped out to a 5-0 edge. Here's Terry Nelson. Bostic. Short with the shot, but he gets the rebound. Now, will he put it up again? Of course. And it won't go. Williams. The lead is 7.
They're right there in the neighborhood now. And he knew it was is coming.
For three. Lynch. Cincinnati got a little sloppy and paid big time.
Well, you like Carolina's size, depth, and you love the way this guy attacks the orange on the offensive glass. George Lynch getting vocal as well. As a senior, that's expected. When you look at him on his way to another double-double.
Had 10 rebounds the other night to become the second all-time leading rebounder in the storied history of North Carolina University. And the lead is 4. The foul was on Nelson, by the way.
Critical juncture here because Cincinnati now has to deal with a different game. They were in control most of this half. Now Carolina has the momentum. How do you weather this storm?
Martin. Foul on Blunt. Third foul on Blunt. 9th team foul. 1 and 1.
There you look at Eric Montross. Ice on the eye. He'll be back, though.
At the half, Pat O'Brien. Corey Blunt sits down with his third foul, and what was a 15-point lead at the 7-minute mark has evaporated.
And with Corey Blunt now having 3 fouls, that could be large when we get to the next 20 minutes.
Derek Phelps will shoot one more. Helps ease the pain for Montross for the moment.
And also to try to keep any swelling down that might be thinking about propping up. Well, Carolina just stays within themselves. They maintain their poise so well. We're a little flustered and rattled in the first 12 or 13 minutes, but just continued to scratch and claw and fight, and now they've tightened it up.
They have cut 12 points off the Cincinnati lead.
Well, I think you got to try to find Van Exel. Carolina in a man-to-man. They'll look to crowd him at every opportunity.
Wow. That's one of those shots Bob Huggins has learned to live with. Van Exel with the foul.
Donald Williams is excellent off the dribble, and here he penetrates. Van Exel made a good play up top, but fouled Williams with the body. There's Huggins and Van Exel in conversation. Van Exel was quoted at yesterday's press conference as saying that every now and then I have to tune Coach Huggins out. And when Bob Huggins was asked about that, well, he said, I know he listens because I tell him enough times.
Donnie Calabria comes in, and now a chance for the tie, which would mean that North Carolina doesn't get it. They would have outscored Cincinnati by 15 in the last 6 minutes.
Well, because of their depth and their ability to defend, they're able to put together runs like that.
35-34. Bostic had Martin. Lynch takes it away. And then Bostic fouls him. Third foul on Bostic. He joins Blunt with 3.
And that's one of the things Cincinnati could ill afford. Front line foul trouble. And that's obviously one of the things that North Carolina wants to do to the opposition. Get them in foul trouble and get those free throw opportunities.
Lizelle Durden checks in, replaces Bostic. Here's you said it would be a big part of this ball game.
Well, it always is with North Carolina. They do such a great job shooting free throws and getting big volume. I mean, they average 13 more free throw attempts than the opposition on a game-by-game basis. So it's a major part of why they're so successful.
Lynch. We're tied at 35.
Well, he just gets in there and does work, George Lynch. Doesn't get the acclaim he deserves. As good an offensive rebounder at his size as I've seen in college basketball. and he's a good, solid defender as well.
And with 37.6 seconds remaining in the first half, the Tar Heels, the top seed in the East, have their first lead of the ball game. No shot clock for the remainder of the half.
I think Van Exel has to be careful picking up his dribble too soon. Got to keep the bounce alive until he's ready to get it to a receiver.
Oh, boy, what a screen Nelson set.
Well, this could be devastating if Cincinnati goes in on the bottom side of the scoreboard.
Nelson is not a shooter, but he gets a big basket.
I think that's huge. As well as they played for the first 12 for 13 minutes, to go in trailing would have been tremendously demoralizing for Cincinnati.
That's the end of the first half with the score 37-36 Cincinnati. Matt O'Brien, Mike Francesa, Digger Phelps, along with Prudential Securities at the half. After this,
I think the interesting thing about what they did, Digger, is that usually Cincinnati is out there after you on made and missed baskets, full court, aggressively going after the ball. But it seemed to me that they moved the defense back a lot and trapped a lot at half court because they were concerned about Carolina's size coming over the top and probably being able to get easy baskets had they done that.
Early, we talked about what Cincy did versus mixing defenses. Here's Carolina in his own.
Well, I think they did a great job of adjusting to the defenses. Dean goes to zone, he goes to matchup, and this Cincinnati throws a diagonal, throws a guard-to-guard pass, and quickly they enter the ball in for a lob on the other side of the basket. So I thought Cincinnati did a great job of recognizing the man, the zone at half, and attacking it with their quickness as well as with sensible passes.
Then they read the defense. Carolina likes the pressure lanes, and of course Van Exel's had a great first half. What adjustments you see here?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that he shot the ball so well over the top. If you're looking at him, you know, I mean, they moved the basketball around. Carolina now goes man defense, and realistically, you don't want anybody to guard a guy any better than they're guarding him. They're right up on the guy. The guy ends up taking a very good shot and ends up shooting right over top of the defense. And I mean, as a coach, you couldn't have any more pressure than that on the ball. I mean, he's just shooting the ball extremely well.
Yet during that run now, with 7 minutes to go, they put more pressure on Van Exel. Why?
Well, I think it's a real cute thing that he did. He went to a man-in-one. You hear about a box-in-one, but he took one of his players out of the context of the defense and really...
And this is Carolina right now on offense.
Going inside,
and talk about that defensive pressure that Cincinnati's getting away with.
Cincinnati's putting a lot of pressure on him. Carolina did exactly what I was talking about, trying to go over the top and capitalize on their size factor. And I think that it's been a great and interesting chess match in terms of their adjustments defensively, both teams.
Quickly, momentum's back to Carolina. What do you like now in the second half for Cincinnati?
Well, I think they're going to have to make an adjustment to Dean's man-in-one defense. He took one of his players, Digger, out of the context of his man-to-man defense and totally put him on Van Exel.
Right.
So now Van Exel's got to set some screens, he's got to move, and some other people have to get involved.
Thank you. Back to you, Pat.
Good job, guys. Good job. We'll see you later. One man who is packing for a trip to New Orleans is Kansas coach Roy Williams. His Jayhawks upended by...
Wir wollen wieder uns vergnügen. Wir wollen saufen, Huren, Techen. Und wenn's möglich eine Ehe brechen. Schlafen wir bis zur Ewigkeit. Kommt und füllt euch eure modrige Getärme. Rein her, dass unser
CBS Sports coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this message and a word from your local source.
Actually, Vern, he got elbowed right underneath the eye, and it caused his eyes to tear up. They put some ice on it during that late minutes in the first half. That's all they did in halftime. They just put more ice on it, and they say he will play in the second half. Now, as far as Cincinnati is concerned, they're not that concerned about losing a 15-point lead. They feel if they can keep the ball on the side of the court and not in the middle and keep Carolina off the line, they'll be able to increase that lead again. Vern?
All right. right, Andrea. Do you think they should be concerned with losing that lead?
No, I really don't think so. I think it would have been more concerned had they not regained the lead. I mean, they still are on top, obviously not by as many as they were earlier. But the key issue, again, is to keep Carolina off the foul line and to get some solid shooting from other guys. I mean, Corey Blunt was 0 of 4. I think he's got to get involved in the offense this half.
See the Cincinnati behind Van Exel's 17 first 13-minute points. Jumped out to that huge lead at 15 points. And then Montross and Lynch led the way back. They had 17 of the last 22 Carolina points. 37-36. The winner goes on to New Orleans, where they take on Kansas next week. And later this afternoon, Michigan and Temple for the final spot in the Final Four. Williams, the runner, and the rebound. Terry Nelson can't hang on, but Lynch has it go off his hands, and Cincinnati will get the ball. Let's set the lineups for you. Van Exel, 21 first half points. Blunt playing with 3 fouls. Martin is in the lineup, so is Nelson and Terrence Gibson. And for Carolina, here's the trap. Phelps, Lynch, Reese, Montross, and Williams, the starting 5. Blunt, good pump fake. Shot rims out. Phelps chases down the loose ball after he had gotten the rebound. Williams. Martin with the defensive job. Montross gets it back. Now George Lynch. And Gibson gets the rebound.
Boy, you really got to squeeze the orange when you go in traffic because both teams have extremely active hands. Carolina in a man-to-man. They'll show you a lot of different defenses.
The wonderful one-touch pass by Terry Nelson.
Little high-low action. Anytime you can get the ball to the middle of the floor from the wing, that defender inside is over the top, and if you whip it down inside quickly, you've got the nice little two-man game. Here you take a look at the tail end of it. Nelson just lofted it inside to Martin, who does a nice job of drawing the foul.
Foul was on Reese, his first. And Eric Martin, the senior from Covina, California, gets the first of his 2.
He and Corey Blunt were junior college teammates. How would you like to have that squad?
Pretty good California connection for Cincinnati.
They're all business out there on the court, too.
It goes back to the point we made at the beginning of the day. The Cincinnati team really playing with a chip on the shoulder. They, in part because of all the JC transfers. Here's Montross. They feel they've not been acknowledged as an outstanding basketball team around the country.
Well, they're certainly playing well enough to earn that kind of respect now. They feel like the Final Four would solidify it.
39-38. Van Exel. Great decision.
Excellent choice by Van Exel. He knew defenders were coming at him because of how hot he's been from the perimeter, and then got Blunt inside.
That's Blunt's first basket of the day. Here's Lynch, and he is fouled by Gibson.
Take a look at North Carolina. Good unselfish ball movement here. Nice touch. Reese to Montross. Mark it up. Now Cincinnati at the other end. You see Montross leave to challenge Van Exel. That leaves Blunt alone on the backside.
And the points in the paint thus far. 20 for North Carolina, 12 for the Bearcats. George Lynch at the line where he is 5 of 6 today. Got them both, 41-40. And Lynch with another quietly effective afternoon.
Boy, he brings his work clothes and attitude every night.
Williams guarding Terrence Gibson. There's a no call on Nelson. Blunt. Oh, good job by Lynch again. Here's Lynch at the offensive end. Short. Blunt with a rebound. Cincinnati in transition, but Carolina back. Gibson for three. Van Exel found him.
Penetration, when you've got numbers, that's one of the best times to shoot the three in transition.
The lead is for Cincinnati.
Timeout, North Carolina.
Timeout, Carolina. Dean Smith has a word or two for the officiating crew.
Take a look. Donald Williams is hemmed in on the sideline, and to avoid the turnover, he called the timeout. Dean Smith felt like he had gotten bumped, and certainly there was some contact, but a pretty wise move there by Williams, because it seemed like it was going to be a turnover had he not whistled the timeout.
44-40, Rodel is in the lineup now for North Carolina. Takes the shot off the glass and in. And the lead is 2, 44-42. Henrik Rodel, senior from Germany. And an all-ACC academic player. Here's Rodel on Gibson. Boston. First, second team foul. And Bob Huggins working the official. And now timeout is called by the Cincinnati Bearcats.
Nobody was on the ball at all for Carolina. That's why they were able to deny. They had 5 on 4.
And when I say both teams wasted a timeout, I mean in the sense that those timeouts will not be available for their use later in the ballgame. They've had to use them. Turnover, Cincinnati. That's number 13 for the Bearcats. 39-year-old Bob Huggins is aging before our eyes.
Coach you to do that to you.
Underneath, Montross was there. And so was Martin with the foul. So Eric Montross goes to the line. That's the second foul on Martin, the second team foul of this half. Winner gets Kansas next week in the Final Four semis in New Orleans. Coming up next, Michigan against Temple from Seattle. The winner of that game will take on a torrid Kentucky team in the other semifinal game. There's Montross for one. And again this year, Clark, the 4 number 1s don't make it. All of them. Eric Montross's father. It's 44 all. Gibson. Whoa!
They just don't give up on the ball, Vern. They just keep scratching and clawing and raking away at that orange until they get their hands on it.
That's the 3rd foul on Montross. Will Dean Smith make a move?
He's thinking about it. I don't think he will right now, but he does have Salvadori and Sullivan. Salvadori, Winstrom hasn't played much. He may just go smaller, which might not be a bad lineup. I mean, they made a pretty good push late in that half when Montross went out with the eye injury.
That may be what he's got in mind. No, it's Rodel for Williams. So he's smaller, but not in the position we thought he would go. Rodel is out, Williams back in. Blunt gets it. 46-44.
There's the pressure by Cincinnati. 3/4 court.
There's that quick step we talked about Friday night.
Almost impossible to stop once he gets into the 6-foot area because he elevates so well on his shot.
Bostic. On the baseline, Bostic again. Hell ball, possession arrow, Cincinnati.
Brian Reese uses the last dribble to explode himself up in the air, and then the nice gentle touch. He has really come to master that little 4-foot baseline shot, which is really a tough shot when your body is going full speed.
Inbound alley.
Go get it, Corey. Beautiful pass and execution. Just threw it over the top.
Cincinnati by 2. Van Exel with the steal. 2-on-1. Phelps is back defensively. And that caused Van Exel to alter his shot. And now the ball goes to Carolina.
Well, good transition defense by North Carolina. Take a look. Phelps back. You wonder if Van Exel, he probably had a chance to give it up, but Lynch making the hustle back. Good challenge without fouling by Phelps.
Well, I don't know if Lynch didn't touch that last.
Walking foul on Bostic or Nelson. Who is it underneath? It's Bostic, and that's his 4th. And quickly, Bostic will go out. Nelson comes in.
One clean dome for another.
48-46. Williams. 2 points.
Well, his stroke is as smooth and sweet as Miss Buttersworth.
7 points for Williams. Tied at 48 with 14:38 to go.
Well, I think maybe you try to throw it inside, attack Montross.
There's Van Exel, who was fouled by Lynch, I believe. Yes, it is George Lynch. That's his 2nd and the 4th team foul on North Carolina.
Well, I made the point about maybe you throw it into Blunt because Montross has the 4 fouls. And see if you can take a possession or 2 to maybe pick up that 4th one on it.
Montross front. Oh. Well, it's not him. How about Eric Martin?
Man, that was a great pass by Van Exel. He just threw it to a spot.
How about the defensive play after the steal by Derek Phelps?
One dribble too many by Gibson.
50-48, 14-10 to go. Reese passes on the shot. Back to Williams. He'll take it. Tipped out. North Carolina ball.
This is like throwing the out pattern in football. Take a look at Martin. He just runs to the goal. Van Exel could never see Eric Martin. He just expected him to be there. Threw it to a spot. Beautiful execution.
Brian Reese and George Lynch will get rest now for North Carolina. Pat Sullivan's in, along with Kevin Salvadori. And Terrence Gibson is out. Eric Martin is talking things over with the officiating crew here.
Come on. Hey, I'm telling you.
Well, they're jockeying for position in there. Ted Valentine in amongst Derek Phelps, Eric Martin, and Corey Blunt. I think the consensus is, let's just hoop, fellas.
Salvadori will inbound. 2-point Cincinnati lead. Phelps, Montross, Williams, Sullivan, and Salvadori for North Carolina. Sullivan. Air ball. Van Exel. Lizelle Durden is on the court now for Cincinnati, along with Van Exel, who has not scored in this half. He had 21 at halftime. Sullivan knocks it out of bounds. Cincinnati will inbound. Eric Martin, Corey Blunt, Nelson, Durden, and Van Exel on the floor for Cincinnati.
Boy, both of these teams playing with so much intensity.
George Lynch will give Montross a rest.
And here you see Montross going to get a break. He has the 3 fouls. And Carolina gets a little smaller, although Salvadori is out there, and he just picked up a foul.
That is the first on Salvadori and the 5th team foul of the half.
Cincinnati with only 3, so they may be able to get Carolina into the bonus here and give themselves an advantage here early in the second half.
Van Exel, 6 of 10 from 3-point range in the game, and Phelps. Oh, who'd they get? Nelson?
Cincinnati foul number 44, Corey Blunt.
No, it's on Blunt, 44. And that's his fourth. Not Nelson.
Blunt going to have to sit down now, and he's replaced by Bostic, who also has 4.
To 48, 13-20 remaining in the game. Sullivan, Salvadori taken away by Van Exel. 13 turnovers for North Carolina. Van Exel finds the jumper. That is for 2.
How about the crossover dribble that tripped up the defender?
4-point Cincinnati lead. First basket of this half for Van Exel. Williams will run it in and take it off the glass for 2.
You have to honor his three-point shot, and he might even be a better off-the-dribble shooter. He loves to shoot it after 2 or 3 dribbles into the lane.
Here's Van Exel. Durden. Air ball. North Carolina has had just 1 lead in this ball game. That was late in the first half by a point. They have a chance to tie or take the lead on this possession. Back to Salvadori, the left-handed jumper. No. That's Sullivan. Strong move, but the shot won't fall. The rebound by Lynch.
He's always around the orange, and when he gets it, he usually doesn't let it go. Boy, Martin had that rebound and tried to snap it too hard and lost it.
From Van Exel. Williams for 3. Eric Martin rebounds Cincinnati, 54-52.
We got a long way to go, Vern, but how big was that basket at the end of the half for Cincinnati?
And it was Terry Nelson who hit that basket.
That gave Cincinnati the lead going into halftime after Carolina had come back from 15 down.
And it happened so long ago that I forgot Carolina did lead 2-0. They did get the first basket of the game. Second foul on Phelps. 54-52. Greger gets the inbound ball. Keith Greger, the freshman. Bostic is in.
Well, nice time to take Van Exel out. Not only do you give him this quick blow, but the next dead ball is a timeout as well, so he'll get additional rest.
Three-pointer Gibson. He's got 8. 57-52. Van Exel ready to come back in. Williams counters.
A honey sweet stroke and the confidence to go with it. Does no good to have that stroke if you don't look to pull the trigger at every opportunity.
Greger on the give and go. Montross from behind, and the foul on Cincinnati.
Here you take a look at where Cincinnati has shot the ball. They're all draped up in the paint, which may be surprising because they're not nearly as big as Carolina, and then they've had tremendous success beyond the arc.
Curtis Bostic has fouled out of the ball game with 10:21 remaining.
Here we take a look at the foul. Good give and go here. Greger from Bostic. Montross gets a piece of it from behind, and Bostic comes in over the top of Brian Reese. And that is, there are no good fifth fouls, but that certainly is one that he didn't get his money's worth.
Gregor and Nelson, Martin, Van Exel back in, and Gibson now for Cincinnati. We're tied. Stripped by Phelps. Reese has it. Blocked by Gregor, and he kept it in play. Van Exel at the other end. Wild shot. Controlled by Eric Martin. Gibson. Lynch with another rebound. And Carolina with a chance to reclaim the lead.
Wrap it up, Brian. They're hooping big time out there. Both ends of the floor.
Remaining in regulation. Winner gets Kansas. Michigan Temple play later today. Great pass. Lynch. Too strong with the shot. Inside for Martin. Lynch is fronting him. Van Exel gets the screen, kicks it left side. Gibson, no. Martin and Montross battle, and Carolina gets it.
Boy, Bobby Huggins can't believe there was no foul call. Martin got grabbed pretty good as he came up with the rebound. Take a look. Right in the middle of your screen. Watch Martin get a piece of this ball. And then Lynch had a piece of his neck. Montross had his right arm. No fracture, no foul.
8:24 remaining. Tied at 57. At one point, with 7 minutes to go in the first half, Cincinnati was up by 15 points. Carolina came back to lead by 1 until a last-second basket by Terry Nelson gave Cincinnati a lead they have not relinquished. They have been tied, as we are now, 3 or 4 times in this half. Reese. Possession arrow, Carolina. Another outstanding defensive play by Eric Martin.
These guys from Cincinnati really read the ball well. So he gets his hand in there, maybe a little contact. Good play here on the tie-up. Well, I like the fact they're really letting them play. It's been consistent. I mean, both ends, they're allowing the guys with some contact to allow them to play, and, well, you couldn't ask for anything more in regards to how it's been called.
Reese. Carolina has the lead, and they've scored the last 7 points. Gregor got a terrific pass and couldn't put it in.
Everything but the period on that sentence. Excellent execution.
7 minutes and 36 seconds remaining in the game. Carolina by a deuce. 7, they lead by 2, 7:36 to go. And coming up next, Temple against Michigan. An owl and a Wolverine having at it. Don't do that often. But they will. And the winner goes down to New Orleans for the Final Four, where they will join Kansas and Kentucky in the winner of this game. Possession arrow now favors Cincinnati. Here's Phelps with Salvadori and Montross. Sullivan's back on the court, and so is Donald Williams. Offensive foul on Montross. That's 4 on him.
Let's take a look. You see the big fella strapped on the sideline. Well, Eric Martin got away with some contact, but they whistled Montross for the elbow foul. And actually, he was just being strong with the basketball. Sometimes when you're 7 feet tall, it's much easier to appear to foul somebody than actually foul.
Van Exel has only 2 points in this half, 21 at halftime.
Well, you know, he was very much talked about in the North Carolina locker room. Phelps and Williams doing a pretty good job on it.
Martin, too strong. Salvadori rebound.
That's his shot, though.
North Carolina, 28 rebounds. Cincinnati, 28. Dead heat in that category.
And the pace has slowed down significantly since the first half. And now it becomes a rock'em sock'em type of game. Who can exert their will and make free throws down the stretch?
Phelps. Salvadori with the putback. He's one of the 2 7-footers playing down low.
My dad has always told me good big will eventually outduel good little. We'll see if that is true, as many other things he's told me have proved out to be true.
I hope we're restricting that to basketball.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basket and a free throw.
They won't go away. Eric Martin, beautiful bounce pass. That's the only way that ball gets there. And Gregor gets it up and down.
North Carolina with a 12-point advantage in close. And Keith Gregor goes to the line.
Nice job by the Bearcats to come back to the freshman. On their last half-court possession, he got a good look, didn't finish. But that didn't stop Martin from finding him inside underneath.
Misfires on the free throw. North Carolina up by 2, 6 minutes remaining. Winner goes to New Orleans, where they take on the Kansas Jayhawks. North Carolina trying to go back for a 9th time to the Final Four. Their last national championship, the only one under Dean Smith, in 1982 in New Orleans. A guy named Jordan hit a jumper in that game. John Thompson remembers it, and he just winced in the studio. Offensive foul, Brian Reese.
That almost caused Dean Smith to lose a shoe.
Second foul on Reese, 9th team foul.
Here you take a look. He lowered that shoulder. And typically that puts you in a vulnerable position for the offensive foul when you dip that shoulder.
Van Exel shoots it. Rebound Nelson. Gibson pump fake and the shot for 3. Cincinnati by a point. The pick from Montross.
They got numbers.
5 on 4. Montross misses the jam.
Excellent recognition by Carolina. Van Exel took a spill and was late getting back into the defense. Inside to Reese. Actually, Lynch find the weak side open guy, and Montross just didn't quite finish.
Foul is on Gibson, his second. As we said, Montross had been shooting free throws with exceptional skill early in the tournament. Struggled the other night, 3 of 6. Today he is 2 of 4. Sometimes tough being a pop.
Oh my goodness. I'd say we got the easiest job, Vern, you and I. We get to sit here, enjoy it, talk about it.
The sigh helped. Tied at 62.
Carolina in the zone now. Protecting Montross. He's got the 4 fouls.
Eric Martin. Nelson, they look for Gregor. Cincinnati retains possession. 4:40 to go, tied at 62.
Both of these teams have changed their defenses effectively. John Thompson talked about that at the half. Cincinnati against this zone has to keep the ball out of the corners, try to center the basketball.
Oh, good move. And then the shot a little too strong. On the floor is Nelson, finds Van Exel. He'll shoot it. No. Carolina ball. is encouraging Nick Van Exel. .420 remaining.
Cincinnati staying in the zone. They've got to protect Blunt and also try to keep the ball out of the paint. Blunt also with 4 fouls. But they have to keep an eye on Donald Williams, who can spot up and pull the trigger on the 3. And then the other thing you have to do is get to the board. Out of the zone, you almost have to just attack the ball.
6 on the shot clock, and Williams hits it.
Man, he's got a beautiful stroke. I could come to the gym and just watch him practice shooting the ball.
He practices a lot. Cincinnati has hit only 2 of its last 11 from the field. They're down by 2. Van Exel, 21 points in the first half, only 2 in the second stanza. Nelson kicks it back to Gibson.
See, the zone is not allowing much dribble penetration.
That's off the mark. Terry Nelson chases it down. Carolina ball. .3 7 seconds remaining. Carolina by 2.
A little more than 3 to go on the last possession. Hustled by Lynch, forced that ball off Terry Nelson before it went out of bounds, and Carolina has possession.
Carolina trailed by 15, 7 minutes into the game, 29-14. They trailed by 1 at the half. They were down by 5 a few moments ago, then scored 7 unanswered points, and they lead by 2 right now. 2:45 to go. Lynch and Williams, who has 9 points in this half, along with Phelps, Montross, and Brian Reese. There's Williams. Free for the shot. No. But Lynch is there for the offensive board and the putback. Reese chases it down. Carolina with a fresh 45 and 2:19 remaining.
That's what scares Bobby Huggins in going to the zone, is that you leave a guy like Lynch loose on the weak side board, and more times than not, he'll make you pay.
Remaining. Montross gets it back out to Williams. 10 on the shot clock. Foul is called on Martin. That's 4 on Eric Martin. He joins Corey Blunt with 4, and Bostic's already out. Cincinnati has had the edge in 3-point shooting, but Carolina a decided advantage in close. Van Exel, 21 of those points in the first half. And George Lynch, another effective day, 19 points and 10 rebounds. And now Brian Reese at the free throw line. Martin's 4th foul.
That means he and Blunt both now with 4. For Carolina, Montross, I think, the only one with 4.
Brian Reese has 7 points in the game, and he's perfect so far on 3 free throws.
Well, you're looking at going down by 4 if he makes this. So you need a good shot if you're Cincinnati, whether it's a 2 or a 3. You need a good look. You need a good, solid possession here.
Lead is 4. Zone defense for North Carolina.
That means it might be tough to get it inside. You've got to move it and spot up for a good 3 from a good shooter.
Van Exel still has only 2 points in this half. But Brian Reese is called for the foul underneath.
Eric Martin sneaking inside again. Both teams, because they're playing zone defenses, vulnerable to offensive rebound. Take a look at Martin. See, he gets inside, anticipates where the shot is coming off, and beats Reese to the ball.
3rd foul on Reese. 10th team foul. So Cincinnati shooting 2. Eric Montross playing with 4 fouls, as he has for much of this half. Bostic has already fouled out. Blunt and Martin with 4 each. Montross, the only one in trouble for North Carolina. 2-point lead, 1:26 remaining.
Cincinnati must defend, force a tough shot, and rebound, all that without fouling. Plenty of time on the clock.
Carolina has done a terrific job of protecting the basketball in this half, just as they did in the second half against Arkansas. They adjusted to the tempo.
Actually, they've controlled tempo a little bit here in the second half by handling the ball well.
1 minute to go. Winner goes to New Orleans.
I think you somehow clear the floor and try to let Donald Williams get to work.
Phelps is going to have to hurry the shot. Montross at the other end. Here's Gibson. We're tied.
They're going to spread it out and let Phelps penetrate for his own, or to kick out to a teammate.
Reese fires to Lynch. No! 0.8 of a second left. Dean Smith calls time.
Here you take a look at Lynch. It won't go. And the ball knocked out by Nelson.
If your son is the head coach at the Cincinnati Bearcats, it's a little tough too. We have 0.8 of a second left. Time has been called again, this time by Cincinnati. And here is the play, Clark, that tied it for Cincinnati.
Well, Phelps trying to force a shot. Montross gets the errant shot, but quick hands by the Bearcats, and Terrence Gibson had already went out. All 5 white jerseys in the paint. He got an easy one, and that put us where we are right now.
There's Bob Huggins' wife. North Carolina 10 team fouls. Possession arrow Cincinnati. 0.8 of a second left. What do you like here?
Well, I think you've got a chance to shoot a jump shot if you get Donald Williams off a pick. It's got to be a catch and shoot, or maybe you put the onus on the officials by trying to throw it inside into the paint right away, put it up in the air, try to let Reese or Montross go upstairs and get it and finish in one motion. So you've got a couple of options. 0.8 seconds is close to 1 second, so you can actually, with a good solid screen, get a catch and a shoot. I think one of those two things will happen if you're Cincinnati. You've got to try to pressure the ball in these close quarters and then communicate on any screens.
Derek Phelps will throw it in for North Carolina.
And you really just have to worry about challenging the first shot without fouling, because there's no chance for a putback.
Montross, a final word of advice from Dean Smith.
Well, we saw him come up with one of those backdoor plays at a key point in the game just the other night against Arkansas.
Martin will defend the inbound pass to be made by Derek Phelps. Out of the wing is Donald Williams, and then a stack on the right side of the free throw line. Montross, Lynch, and Reese. Derek Phelps will inbound. Nichols, the director of officials, and said, I'm really kind of glad we didn't have to make that call. But Sylvester just indicated to us that it would have counted had the basket gone. Cincinnati in overtime. 1-0 North Carolina. First overtime game of the year. Cincinnati beat Miami of Ohio by 6 in overtime on February 1st.
Well, you have to remember the guys in foul trouble. Montross, Blunt, and Blunt. Martin and Blunt for Cincinnati. Montross for North Carolina, all with 4.
We talk about a game clock of surging emotion. What does that do for a North Carolina team?
Well, I tell you what, I just think you got to wipe it out and just get ready for these next 5 minutes. I don't think it favors anybody either way. It's been a hard-fought, well-played, intense battle, and now it comes down to the basic elements of winning basketball games. Executing, defending, rebounding, making shots.
Like that one by Corey Blunt. Williams kicks it back out to Lynch. Phelps gets it back. Reese trying to shake the memory of that shot. Gets it underneath, and the basket is good by Lynch. He's got 21. Gibson. Van Exel. Nelson can't hang on, but it will be Cincinnati's ball.
Well, you look at Dean Smith. He's been active over there. Weak side board again, Nelson. Boy, maybe he got a piece, but they claimed it was off Montross at the very end. Well, you just had a play where you got Blunt a good look inside.
Van Exel throws it away.
Trying to penetrate and create, but Blunt, Montross really can't fight him because he's got the 4 fouls, so it would make sense to try to find a way to let him touch it in your half-court set.
Phelps, no. Montross. Williams.
Sense a little frustration in the Cincinnati guys. They've had a couple of lapses defensively here to start the overtime, and they're a little down with one another. They need a hoop for adrenaline and confidence now.
Blunt looks inside for Terry Nelson, settles for Eric Martin. 13 on the shot clock. Or rather Gibson. 18 turnovers for Cincinnati, and a 3-point North Carolina lead with 2.5 to go.
Cincinnati's gone a little flat, Vern. And just looking at their eyes, their expressions, they've lost a little starch. A basket here by Carolina could be devastating.
15 on the shot clock. 2 minutes remaining in overtime. And Carolina up by 3 on Donald Williams' basket. He takes another. That may do it. Three-pointer in regulation time. They have hit 2 in overtime, both by Donald Williams. They're up by 6, and coming up next from Seattle, Temple against Michigan. The winner of that game joins 3 others at the Final Four in New Orleans. Dean Smith trying to make it back there for the 9th time.
Well, Cincinnati has certainly played on their heels the last 2 possessions defensively, a little frustrated with one another. They desperately need a basket here to regain some confidence.
Montross is on the bench. Salvador in the lineup for North Carolina. Van Exel. Boy, he has been frigid in this half. As frigid as he was torrid in the first 15 minutes of the ball game.
Well, they tightened it up on him defensively. He didn't get nearly as many looks here in the first half as he got in the second half.
Timeout was called by Carolina. They were having problems with the 10-second clock. 1:21 remaining. Missed a dunk shot at the buzzer that would have given the Tar Heels the lead and the victory. But Don Williams has come back with 2 3-pointers in overtime, and Carolina's up by 6, 74-68. Nick Van Exel, brilliant first 15 minutes of the ball game, problem 6.
Yeah, he shot 7 of 14 in the first half, including 6 threes, only 1 of 8 this half. He's gotten a couple of good looks, but Carolina, Donald Williams and Derek Phelps have done a nice job limiting his good shot attempts.
Brian Reese has to call timeout. That is the final Tar Heel timeout. 74-68.
Cars that are well built and well backed.
Now Cincinnati has 1 remaining. The possession arrow favors North Carolina, and they have a 6-point edge with 1:21 remaining. Phelps gets the inbound pass from George Lynch. Now Donald Williams goes by Terrence Gibson.
No need to foul. Donald Williams is looking for a foul, and he shuffled his feet. He certainly did. Donald Williams was anticipating a foul, and Cincinnati surprised him by not fouling. They basically just huddled around him, which was good defense. They give up 13 seconds. Take a look here and watch Donald Williams' feet. He's hovering over the ball, wanting to actually get fouled, and there he shuffled him at the very end. So now you need a quick hitting shot. It doesn't have to be a 3 unless it's a good one if you're Cincinnati. Well, you can't go this casually, though.
There's Gibson.
They're looking for the 3.
There's Van Exel. He's 1 of 9. And the foul and the rebound, Eric Martin. George Lynch is the fouled Tar Heel. That's 5 on Eric Martin. He leaves with 16 points. And he's not yet aware that he is fouled out. Now he will be.
I think he knows. He's just not anxious to leave. That's a very empty feeling. It's time to sit down with foul.
George Lynch will go to the free throw line. The coordinating producer of NCAA basketball on CBS is Bob Dekas. Today's game produced by Mark Wolf and directed by Sandy Grossman. The coordinating producers of the Road to the Final Four, Eric Mann and David Winter. Directed by Bob Matina. The senior producer of CBS Sports is Ed Gorey.
Well, what a tournament Eric Martin had. Not only in the first and second round games, but here at the Meadowlands as well. Double-digit scoring in all 4 games.
Rebound, Carolina. What a play by Derek Phelps.
Smart play, heads-up play here by Phelps. On his way out of bounds, catches Nelson right on the knee. It's tough to catch the orange with your legs.
.7 seconds remaining. Montross can't save it. And traveling called. It'll be Cincinnati's ball.
They've still got life.
They sure do.
North Carolina's really struggled to get the ball inbound here the last 3 possessions.
Nelson, Van Exel, Durden, who is a pure shooter, is in the lineup, along with Gibson and Blunt. Gibson tries to get the screen back to Blunt. He'll get it in the corner for Nelson. No. Lynch with a rebound. 35 seconds to go.
Well, not the guy you want is shooting the 3.
Casual pass again. Van Exel takes it all the way. It will not go for Nick Van Exel. That may be the last gasp.
There's Nick Van Exel Sr. wondering where is that invisible lid. The Bearcats couldn't quite find the hole here in this overtime. But another outstanding season for the Bearcats. It'll be hard to deal with immediately afterwards, but when they have a chance to pull back and look at what they've been able to accomplish. They'll take pride and satisfaction in their season.
Phelps gets one. 3 points for Phelps.
A numb feeling now for the Bearcats and their patrons.
1 of 2. The lead is 7. Cincinnati has missed its last 7 shots. Salvadori, Phelps, Carolina has won. Last basket doesn't count, but it's irrelevant. Gets 2 3-pointers in OT for 6 of his total of 20 in the ball game. And North Carolina goes up against Kansas Saturday afternoon in New Orleans. It'll be a number 1 seed against a number 2 seed. Our most valuable players of the game for Chevrolet: Don Williams of North Carolina and Nick Van Exel of Cincinnati. For Clark Kellogg and Andrew